Hello and welcome to the JK Feather Ranch channel. Today we're going to be doing what should be the last modification necessary on our 2005 Nissan XTerra to run this fridge on an upcoming camping trip in about a week and a half. And that is that while the XTerra does have a power socket in the back already, it does not supply enough power to run this fridge. I've installed this power meter in the cord, and with the fridge off, we're getting about 12.6 volts. That's a fully charged battery. When the compressor kicks on, that drops into the tens, but the battery itself is still showing 12.3, so it's the wiring that's causing the problem. It's too small, and it doesn't let enough power get through. This will eventually trip the low voltage protection and shut the fridge off, even though the battery still has plenty of power, so it needs to be fixed. The best way to solve this is to take this 10 gauge wire, which is good for up to 30 amps, so it should have no problem running a fridge that draws less than 10, even with the long distance. Run it from the fuse box, under the door sills, all the way to the back, and install this new outlet right under the old one. The first thing I need to do is remove the front door sill and the rear door sill. Remove the cargo area floor. Remove this trim piece in the back. Remove the 5 screws holding in the cargo box. Remove the cargo box. Remove this plastic trim piece underneath. Just use a body panel removal tool to pry up the clips and pull it out. Remove the 3 screws holding in the cargo rail. Remove the cargo rail. Remove the 2 9/16 inch bolts holding in the back seat in the back. Remove the 9/16 inch bolt holding in the seat belt and the additional 2 holding in the back seat. Pull up on this rubber boot and remove the 9/16 inch bolt holding in the seat belt. Remove the back seat. Remove this trim piece around the back seat hook. Remove this 10mm bolt. Remove this clip by prying it out and then pulling, and finally remove the back panel. At this point it's held in by nothing but clips, so just pull until it releases. And unhook the factory power socket. It's time to drill a 1 1/8 inch hole right below the factory outlet, making sure to leave enough room for the trim ring around it. Push the outlet through the hole and tighten the lock ring on the back. Now let's run our wire. Starting at the front, I ran it under this plastic piece under the front door sill. Behind the kick panel. And up into the fuse box. To get it under this middle pillar, I had to snake a wire through from the back, tape my wire to it, and pull it back through. One spool of wire wasn't quite long enough, so I had to attach a second spool with a splice connector. And pull it through to the back. Here's the plug for the original outlet, and I put my new one right about here, still with this big hole behind it, What I need to do is route the wires through the metal so it'll come out behind the hole and I can put them into the back of my socket. To do that, I'm going to use one of these Hakko strain relief bushings. This one's meant for a 1/2-inch hole. It holds the wire in place and stops it from rubbing against any sharp edges as it goes through the metal. Start by drilling a 1/2-inch hole. Slide the wires through to the desired length. Insert both wires into the deep portion of the bushing. Close the other side around and crimp it down. Insert the crimped bushing into the hole. You'll hear it snap and lock itself in place. Since Nissan was nice enough to provide a grounding point for the factory outlet, remove the 10mm bolt, install a ring terminal on the end of the black wire, and reinstall the bolt with your new terminal underneath. Install spade connectors on the other end of both wires. Connect them to the back of your socket, black on the outside, red on the inside. Reinstall the back panel in the car. Push this hook back in. Reinstall the 10mm bolt. Reinstall this trim piece. Reinstall the back seat. Reinstall the bolts. Reinstall the seat belts. Reinstall the cargo rail. Reinstall this trim piece. Reinstall the cargo basket. Reinstall this trim piece. Reinstall the floor. And reinstall the door sill. Now that everything's put back together, it's time to hook up the electrical. The first thing I need to do is find a suitable fuse to tap. I need one with power all the time, even with the engine off. Nissan was nice enough to provide a diagram that shows which fuses are wired to the battery, accessory, and ignition, but most manufacturers won't give you that, so you would need to pull fuses and probe them until you find one that has power with the key off. Once you've found a good fuse, the easiest way I found to tap it is with one of these add-a-fuse adapters. You can get them from your local auto parts store, but if you're willing to wait a few days, they're much cheaper on eBay. This XTerra uses micro-sized fuses, but be sure to get ones that match the fuses on your particular vehicle. To use the tap, insert the old fuse we pulled out into the bottom slot. Insert the new fuse into the top slot. It may be tight and you may need to use pliers. Crimp the connector on the other end to the wire we ran earlier. And insert the tap back into the fuse box. Make sure the wire is on the opposite side from the terminal with power. With the fridge running off the new outlet, we're maintaining well over 11 volts. I'm not sure why the power draw is moving around so much. It might just be the cheapness of my gauge, because the battery is maintaining a solid 12.4 volts with the compressor running. That's a drop of about a volt or less, which is within the range of acceptable. By the time the voltage gets low enough to turn off the compressor, the battery will be depleted anyways. That is how to install a new outlet with upgraded wiring in a 2005 Nissan XTerra, so you too can run a fridge or other power-hungry devices away from home. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, leave a comment below.